Everybody, welcome to Vikings Report Rewind. I'm your host, Ted Glover. With me are my usual partners in crime, Drew Bunning, my co-host for Vikings Report with Drew and Ted, and Christopher Gates, the founder, head blogger, and numero uno honcho of the SB Nation Minnesota Vikings Report, the Daily Norseman. Congratulations to the Detroit Lions for winning their Super Bowl. They beat the Vikings 34-23. The Vikings dropped to 10-3 and will have to wait another week to clinch the NFC North. Gentlemen, that was an ugly game.
It sure was. That Ed Donatel should leave his paycheck at Winter Park this week. I said this during the game. I don't understand how a defense with both Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter absolutely fails to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks every single week, and somehow they manage to do it. I don't think there was a Vikings defender in the same zip code as Jared Goff all day today, and they marched up and down the field on this team, and that's just unacceptable.
They did. Drew, I don't know. You know, we've talked about the defense, and we thought kind of at some point they had turned the corner, but they've gone 5 straight games with giving up 400 or more yards, and the Lions, once again, just like just about everybody else, have moved the ball at will against this defense. I don't know. I don't know what to say about them.
There's a lot to break down on both sides of the ball. This is probably the mug that's appropriate for the day. The broken Vikings Report mug. Ted, there's a lot to go over. I don't know if you want to break it down by quarter, by game, or we need to talk about the offense, the defense, and the Vikings played the same way they played all the rest of the weeks.
Yeah.
Except this, like we said before, you're going to play close games. It's going to come up to get you. The Lions executed better. They had better coaching. They played with more intensity. They won the game. It's the NFL. Anybody can beat you if they're ready, and you're not. So,
yeah, I don't know that I'm going to go like quarter by quarter like we usually do. Let's start with coaching. Kevin O'Connell. In our breakdown, we kind of took Kevin O'Connell over Dan Campbell. We think Kevin O'Connell's a better coach. Dan Campbell flat out coached Kevin O'Connell today. I don't know. There's several instances we can cite and we'll go back to them, but the one that sticks out the most, 2 plays with a fake punt when it seemed like the Vikings were going to get off the field, and then that third down conversion to Penei Sewell to seal the game.
Right.
I mean, Kevin O'Connell was 2 steps behind the Lions and what they were doing all day.
The one I want to go to that I think was the huge difference maker was at the end of the first half. Vikings have 1st and goal from the Detroit 3-yard line, down 14-7, and I don't know what the hell that play call was.
yeah.
But that it looked like Cook wanted to throw it, but then he decided that he didn't want to throw it anymore, and then he got hit and he coughed it up, and I mean that was a killer. You should have gone into the locker room tied at 14, and instead you go in down 14-7, and then the third quarter Vikings show up at the beginning of the third quarter and go 3 and out, and that. We've talked about Kevin O'Connell's play calling inside the 10 all year, and for the most part, it's been really good. I don't know what the hell that call was. That was terrible.
It looked like it was going to be a jump pass to Johnny Munt, and if you look at the replay, Munt was open, but I don't know what the hell Dalvin Cook was thinking. I mean, he kind of came up to the line. If you're going to do a dump pass, you should come up to the line and then kind of step back and throw the ball. He just kind of did this stutter step thing he does, and then got hit, fumbled the ball, golden scoring opportunity wasted. Drew, I don't know what your thoughts on that play.
No, those are the plays we've been making all year defensively.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It comes back to bite you. You're going to have it both ways. Overall, I'm going to tell you guys, I've been saying this week after week in plenty of post-game shows that we've had. By the way, hello, you guys. Hope you're having a good day. The offensive play calling is way too conservative. The Vikings play calling every time they're behind by 14 or 15 points is what it should be during the game. And it's happened all season. We get into this, they play more intensity, more of a groove, more attacking when they need to get down the field. It's almost like during the season, the Vikings offense is like, all right, you scored. All right, we're going to come at you with a good drive. We're going to score and tie it up. Then the other team says, hey, I'm going to punt 4 times. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll run some 3 and outs. That's the way we can keep it close. They seem to play better when they're behind. That's the offensive attack they should have. When they came out, they threw that long pass to Jefferson and got down there for a touch. I don't understand why you can't attack when it's tied or you have a lead. You got to admit, when the Vikings are behind, the offense is completely different.
It was, yeah. They were playing with a sense of desperation. I mean, they had that long kind of seam pass over the middle to T.J. Hockenson. Justin Jefferson had that long catch. He had over 200 yards, set a Vikings franchise record. Kirk had over 400 yards passing. But yeah, for the most part, the Vikings offense, and I think it started with the running game. Real quick before we get going, we got 340-some people in the chat room. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Yeah,
welcome. Look, we're gonna give away a prize at the end of the show. All you got to do is make a comment in our live chat. Ruby, she's in the background taking down names of folks who have entered and who have commented. You'll be entered to win the prize, and we'll draw it at the end of the half. And going back to the running game, I don't know what the Vikings were thinking. We said it's been a problem all year. They cannot situationally run the ball well, and they were absolutely terrible running the ball today.
I don't know how much of this is on the offensive line. I mean, no Bradbury, no Darisaw. I mean, they've been without Darisaw for a few weeks now. I don't know if it's sacrilege to say this or not, but at this point, I'm damn near done with Dalvin Cook. I mean, 12 carries for 27 yards or whatever. There was a point, no, he had more carries than that, but there was a point he was at 14 carries for 6 yards. You're averaging half a yard every time they give you the ball. You can't put all of that on the offensive line. It's not all them. Some of it has to come back to the running backs at some point.
15 carries, 23 yards, and a touchdown for Dalvin Cook today, boys.
Yeah.
It's not good.
And a lost fumble.
And a lost fumble.
And more importantly, on top of that, a bunch of first downs were started with a -2 run, which put us in 2nd and 12, 2nd and 14, 2nd and long. By halfway through the second quarter, you're thinking, why are you running it up the middle every first down? Detroit knows you're going to do it. There's 6 guys tackling him.
Yeah.
That's what I have a question about O'Connell is why Ted and Chris, why does he run that aggressive offense when we're behind, but he won't do it when we're tied or we have a lead? He won't do it. The offense looks completely different when we're tied or have a lead than it does when we're behind. Why?
I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
It really is.
You keep running Cook up the middle, the 3 and out, then they punt it back to you. You run Cook up the middle, you run Cook up the middle. You know what? My thought going into the halftime that I told Toots is you need to abandon the running game for this game. Every game's different. This game, you need to forget about it. I mean,
but I mean, it's not just trying to run Cook up the middle. Even it's even trying to get Cook out on the edge. Same thing.
He's not the same.
He's not. No, he's that guy's due $14 million next year. There's no chance that guy gets $14 million from the Vikings next year, and he shouldn't, because I know he's toward the top of the league in rushing yardage this year, but he's not the same dude. He's not the guy you can run the offense through anymore like he used to be.
I'd like to get some feedback in the chat how people feel about Cook. So let's throw it out there and see if does he look done? Right. Does he look different? Is it on the offensive line? Is it on the rancid play calling? But Cook doesn't look the same to me.
Go ahead and put it out there, folks. We'll read some of the comments that we get coming in. No, he doesn't. And you know, one thing I thought the Vikings have been pretty good at, when Cook hasn't been effective or whatever, they've done a pretty good job of rotating in Alexander Madison, who has been a spark for the running game when the Vikings weren't getting much earlier, and they didn't do much of that at all today either. It's like it was either Dalvin Cook or we weren't going to run the ball at all. And if you're gonna stick to the run or try and stick to the run, and your lead guy isn't getting it, I would think the guy that's more of your Leroy Horde to the Robert Smith guy would be better at trying to go between the tackles and get 3 or 4 yards today. But I don't know. That just wasn't in the Vikings plan either.
But here's the thing. They're not even mixing Madison in as much as they used to. I mean, he had 2 carries today. That means in 13 games this season, that dude has carried the ball 50 times. That's like 4 carries. That's like 4 carries a game. And has Kenny Nwangwu played an offensive snap all season?
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing him.
A couple, but not many. He's had like 2 or 3 carries.
And I know Ty Chandler's been hurt. I mean, at some point we might want to start working him in too if we can get him back off of IR. But I mean, when something's not working, whether it's the defense, whether it's the running game, or what, you got to change something. I don't know what you got to change. You got to change something, because what you're doing,
that's something we got to talk about.
Working.
That's something we got to talk about. Both sides of the ball, everybody involved, doing the same thing over and over and never changing and never adjusting. Chris Gates is absolutely right. And if you're going to have a change of pace back, get Nwangwu in there. All Madison is a slower Cook. He runs between the tackles. He's not going to give you anything different. If you're going to change the pace, change the running back, change the style of what you're doing. But Chris is absolutely right. One of the Vikings' biggest problems on both sides of the ball is doing the same thing. Same thing all game. Same thing.
But before the season, we were all kind of pretty geeked out about Kevin O'Connell and maybe setting up a package of plays for a guy like Kenny Nwangwu. You know, we've seen his speed. He had that big kickoff return against the Patriots. And they haven't chosen to explore that option. They may next year. There's some good comments. Riley Emmert put Kenny in. Vikings Uncensored, our buddy Rhino. Cook today is Exhibit A for why you don't pay a big second contract to a running back. Angela McDonald says we'll be moving on next year. GMAC running back is a position to save money on. Todd Gums, I believe it's Gums. Cook is older and slower for sure. Needs to restructure. It's goodbye. So I think we're all kind of on the same page with.
Thanks everybody for feeding back. I like it.
And there's a lot more comments back there as well. But I think we're kind of all on the same page. That Dalvin Cook, he's lost a step, and he's lost a step. Adam Thielen's lost a step. He had that that touchdown on fourth and 6 or whatever it was today to get the Vikings kind of within striking distance. But there are some veterans on this football team that are taking up a lot of cap space and really aren't performing to their ability. And it feels like this team's going to the playoffs, but it feels like at the end of the season, no matter what happens, there's going to be some changes coming around.
I think so. I think there's got to be. I mean, guys we don't really mention. I mean, I know Ted's mentioned Harrison Smith a few times this year. He didn't play today because of he started out the week. He was one of those guys that was listed as having an illness, and then it was like Friday. They were like, "Oh, by the way, he's dealing with a neck injury too." So that's. But he didn't play today. But he's been a guy that I know Ted's mentioned a few times this year. Eric Kendricks, I think, has fallen off from where he was not too long ago. But yeah, there's going to be a few guys that I think we've been used to seeing for the last few years that are not going to be a part of this team next year.
Well, a commenter by the name of My Worthless Opinion actually has a pretty good question.
What's his name? What is it?
My Worthless Opinion. Are the other backs capable of pass blocking, or is that why Cook stays in? I mean, that's a good point.
That's a great point.
Dalvin Cook's very good at pass protection, and that's. I mean, Madison's not bad, but of all the backs on this roster, Dalvin Cook is hands down the best pass blocker. And when the Vikings are throwing the ball a lot, and even they're going to need his pass blocking ability, and even if they could get him the ball in the open field, he can still do some damage. He had that one catch over the middle and got to the outside, got a first down.
He had some big blocks on Anzalone on some of those blitzes. Dalvin Cook stepped up. He looks really confident with blocking, but is part of his problem, Ted, not being involved in the receiving game like he's been the last few years? Because you don't see him get the ball receiving. And we used to see that every week. A screen go for 40 yards, a screen go for 50 yards. You don't see it anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they're not using him as much because he's not as explosive as he has been in past years. Today I thought he looked particularly slow, but that's just me.
No, I agree.
Can we go back to another coaching decision since we were talking about coaching and whatnot earlier?
Sure.
Chris Gates, we can go wherever you want to go, brother.
Okay, I'm gonna anger the nerds that are out there by bringing this one up. So early in the third quarter, Lions go up 21-7. Vikings, to their credit, march down the field, get a touchdown. I think that was the I can't remember who got that. That was the Thielen touchdown that came on the fourth down play or whatever. Make it 21-13. Somebody that's a hell of a lot smarter than I am is going to have to explain to me why you go for 2 points there.
Dumb. Just dumb.
I don't get it.
The only excuse that I will find acceptable is I just had a feeling Greg Joseph was going to miss. I mean, but it was dumb. I didn't get that.
And I know there's numbers and flow charts and all this other stuff that people want to throw out there, or whatever. But that's the thing. If you want to go for 2 at some point, make it 21-14. Because if you miss the 2-point conversion, then you absolutely need the 2-point conversion.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not smart. I understand that, but I don't get that decision.
Let's look at it this way. For some reason, O'Connell thought it was a good idea. Let's try to find the way that without spending a ton of time on it. What was he thinking? What somebody in the chat can let me know what his thinking was for doing it to begin with, because he's not going to do it unless he has a reason. I thought it was stupid.
The whole analytics world says you go for 2 in that situation. When you're down 14, you go for 2. And he actually said, I think on a Colin Cowherd interview earlier in this week, if he was down 14, he was going to go for 2. It didn't make any sense to me because you still now, like Chris said,
explain that to me, Ted. Why do you do that?
I can't. I don't know why, and I don't get why, and I don't want to give the nerds any credit here because it was a stupid decision. It just was, because like Chris said, you missed that 2-point conversion there. Now you're down 8, and at some point you're going to have to go. You are going to have to go for a field goal or a 2-point conversion. So whatever. I mean, I think the reasoning was you score 2 points there, then you just need a touchdown and a field goal, you win. But you drop the ball or don't score. Now you got to score and get a 2-point conversion, and that just gets you a tie. So I don't, whatever. dumb. It was stupid.
It was not the right call.
No.
The one other offensive player I want to talk about, TJ Hawkinson. He had a big game today. Had I think 7 or 8 catches. Let me look it up real quick, or Chris, if you could look that up. But there was
77.
6 for 77. There was one point. I'm trying. There we go. It was in the second quarter. It was 7-7. The Vikes were driving, and it was like 3rd and 9. And Kirk threw a really good pass to Hawkinson on the sidelines. Would have been a first down, and he dropped it. And that was, I thought, one of those, crucial handful of plays we talk about during the week. If that drive is alive, the way the offense was moving, it felt they were going to get points on that drive. I think that catch, if Hawkinson makes it, they're like right on the edge of field goal range anyways. Are you guys – is TJ Hawkinson becoming problematic? Because he's had a couple of big drops, the last 2-3 weeks. Or is that nothing we need to worry about?
I mean, I'm not super worried about it, to be honest. I mean, we saw that kind of thing with Irv Smith, but Irv Smith doesn't have the sort of reputation or the kind of production behind him that TJ Hawkinson has over the course of his career. So I think it's more of an anomaly for Hawkinson than anything else. He's going to continue to be a part of this offense here, I think.
Drew?
I don't have a problem with it because he missed a pass, but otherwise, since he's been here, he's opened up the offense for a lot of big plays. And today he made some big catches after that. He made some really nice catches along the sidelines and over the middle. And, you got to give a guy a drop now and then. So I like this team a lot better with TJ Hawkinson on it than what we had in the past.
All righty.
So I don't have a problem with it.
So one more coaching decision I want to talk about. Second quarter, it is 7-7. The Vikings are 3rd and 11. Justin Jefferson catches the ball. It looked like he was ruled short, but Kevin O'Connell challenged it because it kind of looked like he might have had the first down. That wasn't that one. Yeah, that was play, and it was upheld short. 4th down, the Vikings go for it. Don't make the first down. First play, the Lions take over on like the 48. And on the very first play, Jared Goff hits Chark for like 48 yards on a touchdown.
I think you're crossing 2 different possessions.
I think I am too. Yeah.
The one you're talking about was either the Vikings' first or second possession where they went for it on like the 40-yard line in their territory, and Cook got just stuffed because that's what happened to Cook all day. He got stuffed for little to no yardage, and then but the one you're talking about, I thought Jefferson, because they showed on the replay, he went to his knees to catch the ball, and when he caught the ball, he was at the sticks, and then because he was going, like his momentum was carrying him the other way. I mean, he had 2 knees down and he had possession of the ball. I thought that was a first down.
So did I.
Decided that no, we're going to call him short, and the Vikings are going to punt it away. But yeah, that was another decision that I don't know if you punt the ball away there. I don't hate the decision to go for it on that one necessarily. I do hate lining up in the shotgun on 4th and 1 because I always will and I always have. But that was an awful play call in that spot if you're going to go for it, I think.
All right. Let's talk about this defense because it's not getting any better. It's actually
I'll say it in terms of Jefferson.
Yeah.
That was a touchdown in the 4th quarter. I don't know why we didn't review it. That was a touchdown. That long pass he had, he didn't step out of bounds. He didn't.
No, he didn't.
That was a touchdown. And then we came back and they ran the play, and I'm going, what the? You're going to challenge something earlier on a 10-yard pass, but you're not going to challenge a touchdown? That was a touchdown. So a little bit of simmer on that.
I'm not sure if they would have given him a touchdown there because I'm not sure when exactly they blew it dead or how they would have handled it if they would have determined that he didn't go out of bounds. I mean, I'm not sure what the rules are there necessarily, but yeah, that should have been a touchdown.
Also, before I kick it back to Ted for the defense, if you're going to go for it on your first possession, there's being aggressive and there's being stupid. You better make a good play call because everybody in Detroit knew that we're going to run Cook up the middle in that. That's part of the aggravation.
Yeah, that was a bad play call.
Well,
that's okay. Did you agree with going for it there though? And just consider it the play call, or
I kind of did. I kind of did. I agreed with it, but I didn't like the play call.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, me too. All right. I don't know. I don't know what the Vikings can do about the defense at this point in the season. I mean, somebody mentioned Mike Pettine's in the building. They could make him the defensive coordinator. No, because Mike Pettin was a terrible defensive coordinator as well. I don't think Ed Donatell's the guy.
No,
I can very much see the Vikings moving on from Ed Donatel at the end of the season, but this defense sucks. I mean, it's as bad as last year now.
I said this during the game and whatnot. You got to wonder if there's some point where Kevin O'Connell just walks up to Ed Donatel and says, dude, do literally anything but what you've been doing for the last 13 weeks, because what you're doing is not working. It's terrible. Like you said, this is the 5th game in a row they've given up more than 400 yards. The fact that they're 3-2 in those games is nothing short of miraculous. And it speaks to what the offense is doing. But like, seriously, I see Zadarius Smith dropping into pass coverage. What are you doing, dude?
Terrible. I mean, and Hunter.
Jesus. Yeah. Like I said, a defense with those two guys on it should not have this much difficulty getting to opposing quarterbacks. And yet every single week, that's what happens.
It's really remarkable how bad the Vikings pass rush has gotten with Zadarius Smith and Daniil Hunter the last month of the season or whatever. I don't. The Vikings don't have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. You've got Daniil Hunter, you got Zadarius Smith, maybe Eric Hendricks. Harrison Smith is still pretty good. Patrick Peterson, but there's a lot of weaknesses in the secondary. And I get Donatel is probably trying to mask those weaknesses as much as you can, because like, look, if you're going to blitz and try and put pressure on, now you're talking about putting Cam Dantzler and a Caleb Evans one-on-one with whoever, and that's probably going to work out disastrously if you don't get home to the quarterback, because the Vikings secondary without Harrison Smith today was just terrible. That first touchdown to Jamison Williams. Cam Bynum looked like he had no clue what the hell he was doing.
No, I mean, I know Harrison Smith and Patrick Peterson are the veteran guys that try to get everyone lined up and whatnot. But, like we've said, Harrison Smith has lost a bit of a step, even when he has been out there. Patrick Peterson has been solid, but yeah, I don't know. There's really, like we've said before, you have the personnel that you're going to have. There's nobody that you're signing off the street that's going to come in and make any difference or anything like that. But I don't know what exactly they got to do or how exactly they got to do it. But it starts with generating more pressure on the opposing quarterback, and they just don't do that.
Drew, how can you make this? How can you patchwork this defense and get them ready for the playoffs?
Go get Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay, that ain't gonna happen.
Let me tell you guys about this defense, and I know it's a mystery, and I know it's a lot to be talked about. First and foremost, in today's NFL, if you do not pressure the quarterback, it's gone from you don't have a chance to you're going to lose. You will lose if you don't pressure the quarterback. That's first and foremost. But I don't think O'Connell has the nuts to step up to him, to be honest with you. I think he hired him thinking he has all his experience. I'm going to leave it to him. I'm not going to question him. Because when the Vikings kicked that field goal to make it 28-16, there was 11 minutes left. And I'm thinking 2 touchdowns, we pull it out 30-28. 11 minutes. They kick off to Detroit. And Detroit not only eats up 7 minutes, they convert 3 first downs. I mean, that's the point of the game where you got to step up defensively and do something different.
Yeah.
That you have to do something. You have to do something different at that point, or you're going to lose. And we ran the same defense we've been running the whole game. And I think another head coach might have went up to Donatel and said, "Do something different or vacate." Because that was the part of the game that they really. I mean, there's a lot to go into losing a game, but that drive in itself. That was the killer, the dagger drive. They kept converting 3rd downs. We kept running the same defense. They ran that short zone over the middle to the running back for a first down. They were getting them on. We didn't step up. And that's the point of the game when you got to step up, get the ball back and score. And I've been for Donatel all season because I think people have been yelling for his job the last 4 weeks and 5 weeks. And I'm thinking when you're 10-3, you can't really change the defensive coordinator. But you know what? I'm changing my look on it. Maybe you can. Maybe they need to get rid of that guy right now because you say, Ted, you said earlier, well, probably not going to do anything this year, but next year, fuck it. Why waste this year? Get him out now and get somebody in there. You still got a shot this year. You're going to be in the playoffs. You're biting for the #1 seed. You got a shot now. Have the nuts to get rid of him because he's not the answer.
I would say if you go back and look at the first half, I thought the Vikings defense did okay. They were putting pressure on Jared Goff. They had what? The first drive they went 3 and out, scored a touchdown on their second drive. The Vikings held on their third drive, and then they went punt, touchdown, missed field goal. But in the second half, they went touchdown, 12-play drive, touchdown, 10-play drive, field goal, 12-play drive, field goal, 7-play drive. And I'm telling you, whether it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 44, or 3rd and 81, I have absolutely no faith that the Minnesota Vikings defense will get off the field.
It's the same defense. It's the same structure, the same base defense.
Yeah.
Teams know they had a 3rd and 8 on that drive I just mentioned. They had a 3rd and 8. It was the first 3rd and 8, and I'm thinking, Tootses, if we get off the field now, we got a shot. No pressure. The guy ran an 8-yard square and route on Duke Shelley, and I'm thinking, you're not covering the sticks? That's absolutely ridiculous right there. That's ridiculous.
It is.
You deserve to lose if you're going to. You got to bone up and get up on the line and bump and run and stop them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And here's the thing. I know Ted mentioned Mike Pettin, who is not a good defensive coordinator either. I mean, we understand that if you're going to try to replace Ed Donatel. I don't have the Vikings coaching staff in front of me or anything, but I guess I don't know if they're wondering about, looking beyond this year and not wanting to, okay, we installed a new scheme this year and then we're going to fire this guy. And then next year we're going to install another new scheme and, kind of be back to square one again. I don't know if there's like a younger guy on the Vikings defensive coaching staff that they could like bump up to that position just to get any sort of different mentality or mindset on the defensive side of the ball for this team. That I don't understand it.
Chris, it's not the right scheme. They don't have the players to run the 3-4. They don't.
No,
you have to have a dominant nose tackle, like Casey Hampton with the Steelers with Bill Cowher, dominant. And you have to be athletic on the outside. They don't have they're running the wrong scheme. I'm telling you, they're running the wrong scheme.
It feels like it. And here's a good point. Somebody brought up Stuart Anderson. Look, if Z and Hunter are injured, then sit them. Put Asamoah and Jones out there. They'll give more than 2 hobbled linebackers. I don't know if they are injured, but I can't remember which one of you guys said earlier. Dropping Zadarius Smith and Daniil Hunter in coverage, I think is just a complete waste of their ability and talent. I mean, like, it feels to me like Ed Donatel is just waiting for the opposing quarterback to make a bad throw.
Right.
And quarterbacks in today's NFL don't make bad throws. They just don't. I mean, Good God, Baker Mayfield had been on the Rams for 36 hours and took them 98 yards to win a football game. If you give a quarterback time, they're going to pick you apart. It doesn't matter who it is. It just doesn't.
Like today, Jared Goff was in complete control of that game.
From the word go. And everybody kind of used to like to pan on Jared Goff, but he's not a bad quarterback. He's not. There are, like we said in the preview, there are a lot worse quarterbacks than you could do in the NFL than to have Jared Goff as your guy.
You know what, Ted? When you're facing the same scheme every play, and you combine that with no pressure, same scheme, no pressure, every quarterback's going to kick our ass. Every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have some creativity. You have to disguise some blitz. Does Donatel know he can blitz?
I don't know. He doesn't do it.
You have to be creative on defense, which I thought they would be at the beginning of the year. I thought he was going to switch up from a 3-4 to a 4-3 to a 3-3-5, whatever he was going to do. I thought it was going to be more creative. It's not. It's just base defense that lets wide receivers run down for a 17-yard square in. How many times do we see that today? 17-yard square and button hook for a completion
on third and 14. First
time. And I know Ted said earlier that if you blitz more, then you have to worry about guys like Dantzler and Shelley getting beat one-on-one. They're getting beat anyway.
Right.
Do something different. For Christ's sake, do something different. Like I said, send 8 every once in a while. Who just do anything other than what you've been doing.
They don't do anything different the whole game. No. In that last drive I mentioned when Detroit got it back with 11 minutes left and we're within 2 scores, that was the time to go all out, try something. They did nothing different. Detroit chewed 8 minutes off the clock and won the game because they wouldn't do anything different. Come on, dumbass. Change it up.
One other thing I want to talk about, and I thought this was like the huge momentum swing of the game. The second half or into the third quarter, Vikes do their typical third quarter offense, go 3 and out. Defense holds when the Lions come out, and the Lions ran a fake punt, and it goes for like 42 yards. And they ended up hitting Josh Reynolds for a touchdown, and it was like 21-7. And I actually thought when that happened, I'm like, yeah, this might not be the Vikings' day. That was, to me, of all the things not to be ready for. I said, Dan Campbell's probably going to do a fake punt here. I said this to like nobody in my basement. I was watching the game with myself, and I said, yeah, I bet if I'm Campbell, I got nothing to lose. I'm going to run a fake here. 43 yards later, there we go.
Great call. Great call.
It was.
Yep.
How are we feeling about Kevin O'Connell as a head coach, boys?
I still like him. I think it's too early to throw him under the bus at this point. I mean, like I said, he has decent. The offensive side of the ball, I think we're doing really well, and that's what O'Connell does, because that's what he did in Los Angeles and whatnot with the Rams. But I don't like Drew has said, they don't have the personnel to run the defensive scheme they're running. If you knew that, why did you hire a guy that wants to run that defensive scheme? Why don't you bring in someone that has a defensive scheme that's more adaptable to the players you already have? I don't think Kevin O'Connell's a bad head coach. I think he's going to actually be a pretty damn good head coach for this football team. But that they need to change a lot of things, and almost all of the changes I think need to be made on the defensive side. So that's going to take a little bit of time to develop. But I think he's okay.
Drew, what do you think? You like O'Connell? You like KOC?
You know what? I like having Chris Gates on this show because he brings knowledge, and it's not just half-assed fly-by-night knowledge. Everything he just said is absolutely correct.
I mean, it kind of is.
But the problem, Kevin O'Connell was brought in here first to change the culture and change the gloom. First thing you got to get rid of is the bad culture, the losing culture, and the gloom within the. Everything's gloomy. We're going to lose all the time. He's done that, and I like that. And I think that was first and foremost what you got to change. Now, Chris says the offense is playing better. I'll agree to a point. The offense is too conservative. It is.
At times, it sure is.
You don't. You had one long pass. One long pass.
Like you said, it's dependent on the situation. It
shouldn't
be completely different. It looks completely different when you're tied or ahead than it does when you're losing, and it
shouldn't be.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The Vikings were second in the NFL last year in 20-plus point plays. This year they're close to 30th. He doesn't stretch the field enough, and if you don't threaten deep, I mean, they had one pass to Thielen that was deep that was incomplete, but up till then they had nothing else. If you don't threaten deep, and what these teams are doing, the Cowboys really did it. What these teams are doing, they're scrunching everybody up closer and closer and closer. Take Cook away, take the long pass away, and all you're dealing with is the intermediate routes. And I think that is the problem with O'Connell. He needs to let it go a little bit. It's too conservative, guys. And you gotta stretch a defense and throw it deep once in a while. And they started doing that right when they were behind. And they threw the pass to Jefferson, and the Vikings defense looks a lot different when they're behind. That's what the offense. I mean, that's the offense you got to have during the game. But O'Connell, I'm happy with him as head coach. We're on the path. We're on the right direction, Ted.
Yeah.
Today was a bump in the road, but we're 10-3 with O'Connell. He's taken out the gloom. He's brought in, a winning culture to this team, and I'm fine with him.
Some comments. Angela McDonald says, I love O'Connell. Can't lose sight of what he's done in year one. We just need to get this defense right. I completely agree with her. I think Kevin O'Connell's the right choice for coach. Mo Viking feels the jury is still out on KOC.
That's fair.
Coach Gothorpe says KOC looks like a first-year coach for good or bad. And yeah, we've had a few of those games as well.
Man, we have some smart commenters in there, man.
Yeah.
They're all great answers.
So we've talked this game. I don't want to talk about this game anymore. Let's look ahead, gentlemen. The Minnesota Vikings have 4 games left. They are home against the Indianapolis Colts, home against the New York Giants, on the road at Green Bay, and at Chicago to finish off the year. The Detroit Lions have two road games. They go to New York to play the Jets, to Carolina to play the Panthers. They're home against the Bears, and then they finish the season at Green Bay. All right. Somebody mentioned it earlier, and I can't find the comment now, and my apologies. They said basically to the effect, look, I don't think the Minnesota Vikings will lose all 4 games and the Lions will win all 4 games.
No.
But I'm a Vikings fan and I know better.
Yep.
That's actually a smart comment. That's a smart comment. That's true.
If there is a franchise that it could potentially happen to, guess which one it is. It's us. It's absolutely us.
That's so freaking true right there. Isn't it?
Again, any combination of a Vikings win or a Lions loss, any one of those over these next 4 weeks, the Minnesota Vikings win the NFC North.
Now, let me ask, are the rest of the teams out of it, Ted? The other 2 teams are out of it?
They are.
I think there's like a 1 or 2% chance for both the Bears and the Packers. I think the Bears have actually been eliminated.
Yeah, the Vikings can't go any worse than 10-7, and Green Bay can't go any better than 9-8. So they're out too.
Yeah, I mean, but if the Packers went out or the Bears went out with a whole bunch of help in different scenarios, I think
nobody cares.
They could sneak into as a wild card, but I mean, yeah. The only 2 teams that are capable of winning the division are the Vikings or the Lions.
Lions are winning.
I don't think so, but man, this game sucked today. They
outplayed us, Ted. They outplayed. It wasn't luck.
Hands down.
They outplayed us. They executed better. They coached better. They won the game. I mean,
all right. So they got the Lions go play the Jets. The Vikes are at home to Indianapolis. They going to clinch the division next week?
They better. I mean, Indianapolis is terrible. I mean, if they need to. Jonathan Taylor scares the hell out of me, and he probably should, because he's the kind of guy that is capable of just going off at any time. But there is no reason that this team shouldn't wrap up the division on Saturday when they play Indy. None.
Drew,
if the Vikings are close with Indianapolis in the third quarter, we got problems.
Yeah.
Now, this is a team that, I mean, Ryan is not what he used to be.
No.
The Vikings should dominate this game. I mean, I thought they were going to dominate today and win by 14 plus. So what do I know? But you got to beat the Colts. I mean, come on. You got to beat the Colts next week.
So, okay, they got to, but will they?
I mean,
it's the Vikings. It's the Vikings. Vikings are down 7-0. Oh, we're going to charge back and tie it. The other team goes into a hole. Oh, yeah, we'll go into a hole with you. We'll keep it close. They do that. I mean, it's like when the other team punts 4 times or has a turnover, the Vikings don't take advantage of it. They start playing when they're behind. Why is that so hard to see at this point? It's not an anomaly. It's a pattern. The Vikings play better when they play behind. They should be playing like that the whole time, Ted.
So apparently, Riley Emmer just gave us a post-game quote from Kevin O'Connell. He says the Vikings need to take a look at what they can do defensively to put their players in better position. He mentions possibly being more aggressive and needing more pass rush. Well, I mean, we're 3 months into the season, so I'm glad. I'm glad we're seeing this now. Better late than never.
That's what's concerning, Ted. We're 3 months into the season, and yet the Vikings still look like they're adjusting. rather than having an identity. You got to have an identity at this point. I don't know what's happened to the pass rush.
I don't know. Well,
if you don't get Hunter, Hunter out there covering running backs is a joke. Come on.
Let's do this. Just humor me next week. This is what I would like to see. You put Z and Daniil Hunter at the end. Put them, stand up, put their fingers in the dirt. I don't care. Put Eric Kendricks and Brian Asamoah, or Asamoah and Jordan Hicks in a linebacker. I think Asamoah needs more playing time. Hicks is okay. Kendricks just looks like he gets beat to the edge anymore. I don't think he's got that side to side speed he used to. And run Patrick Jones and get him in the rotation some more and just see what happens, man. I just do something. Angela McDonald, good point. She said, look, lose to the Colts next week, you're going to feel that doubt start creeping in. And she ain't wrong, man.
You know what?
If the Vikings lose to the Colts next week, I'm going to be in full-on pucker mode.
And
we need to give Angela a prize for today. She's had like 4 good comments.
That's right. Okay, Angela McDonald, you're right. Angela McDonald, get a hold of Ruby at Vikings Report with Drew and Ted at gmail.com. You're one of our prize winners. We'll spin it at the end of the show. Go ahead, Chris.
And when I mentioned the Colts offense just now, I mentioned Jonathan Taylor and how he's what they got to focus on. The last 3 weeks, this team has faced Mac Jones, Mike White, and Jared Goff, and they have made all 3 of those guys look like Joe Montana. Matt Ryan has looked completely washed up for like 90% of the season. They even benched him once before Frank Reich got fired.
Yeah.
If that guy comes out and throws for 300 or 350 yards, we're going to be in full on code red with this defense. It's just going to be, there's no reason for Matt Ryan to rip this defense apart like, just about every other quarterback has this season so far.
Full pucker. I have a quick question for both you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
The defense, giving up 400 yards, 5 weeks?
Yep.
5 in a row.
A franchise record, by the way.
You guys tell me right now, is it the talent level or is it the scheme?
I think it's both. I think the talent level is driving the scheme, and the scheme and the talent on the roster. I mean, because the Vikings can't tackle either. I mean, they're not good at tackling. They're not good at gap discipline. They're not good in coverage. For whatever reason, they don't rush the passer. I mean, it's becoming, at least if nothing else, they're consistently bad in every aspect of defense.
I do think it's a little bit of both. Like Ted said, but if I had to lean one way or the other, I think I would probably lean more towards the scheme, because if you look at the talent on the different levels of the defense, Dalvin Tomlinson is having a very good season. Harrison Phillips is very good. We've mentioned Zadarius Smith. We've mentioned Daniil Hunter. There's talent there. There's guys that are capable of playing at a high level in the National Football League on this defense. But like you said, the players are not equipped for the scheme that this defensive coordinator wants to run, which makes his hiring just that much more confusing to me. But there's talent there. I just don't think it's being used as effectively as it probably could be. And having a rotating door at one of the cornerback spots for most of the second half of the season probably hasn't helped much either.
Drew, what do you think?
It's really good stuff. That's really good stuff. I think Donatel was originally hired because he had so much experience. The one part going into this head coaching thing O'Connell was worried about was defense. He knows the offense. He was a quarterback. He knows how to call plays. He was with the Rams. He called a bunch of plays up there with McVay. He knows offense. He doesn't know anything about defense. And he thought, if I don't know anything about defense, I'm going to hire a guy who's really experienced with defense, which Donatel is, but there have been drawbacks to the adjustments and to the defense in general you're running. I mean, O'Connell's got to step up and say, dude, you're fired. If we give up 400 yards every week, we can't win a champion. It's about winning.
Yeah.
And I don't know if O'Connell can step up to Ed Donatel, who's been coaching defense for 142 years, and say that to him.
They've got 4 weeks left before the playoffs.
And now, if you're going to make a change, do it now, Ted.
If you're going to, I don't want to say change your scheme up, but change your philosophy and how you deploy the scheme. You better start doing it now, and it better start next week against Indy. Or look, this Vikings team, they're going to get a home playoff game. if this defense shows up the rest of the year, they're not going to win another football game. They're not. They're going to give up. They're going to give up 400 points or 400 yards, 400 points. If they're going to give up 400 yards a game plus, you can expect 25 to 30 points being scored on them. I would think that the offense might be able to outscore a couple of those defenses that they're playing, but for the most part, it's going to be the struggle bus all the way to the finish line. And you're looking at maybe losing out on the number 2 seed possibly and going to the number 3 seed, if not pissing away the whole division, which I don't think will happen, but they have got to figure this out.
And exactly right. Exactly right. Ted Glover.
All right. With that, Ruby, I guess if you're ready, we got something about 65 people watching. That's not too bad. Why don't you pull up the wheel of Toonce's destiny, and we'll see who our winner is for today, besides Angela McDonald.
I like the sound. That's my favorite part.
All right. We don't have as many names as we usually do, but that's okay. Here we go. Oops. Sorry.
Yay, Toonces.
There we go. Oh no, not
visible wheel.
again.
Wheel of invisibility.
I guess we just pick a
Raymond
winner. Huh?
Hoagland.
Yeah!
Raymond Hoagland. Good old
Let's give Raymond a shout out. That guy has been with us since week 1.
fan from day one, Raymond Hoagland. Thank you.
And he gives us great comments, those long comments about the show and the studio show. Raymond Hoagland, you are a VIP all-star fan.
There are absolutely no benefits to being a VIP of this show, but we appreciate your patronage, sir. We really do. All right. So Vikings lose 34-23. By the way, their playoff, the chances with the loss today, the Minnesota Vikings chances of A, winning the division, and B, going to the playoffs dropped from 99% to, let me check my notes, 99%. So they're still going to go to the playoffs. They're probably going to win the division, but today was just a bad game.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Drew. Give us a wrap up on our last good words for today.
It's how you're going into the playoffs. Who's a strong team?
Yeah.
As long as you make the dance or make the tourney, you could turn it on like the Giants have in past. I mean, you could become the hot team in the playoffs, but the Vikings are playing with fire. They are. We saw another game today where they couldn't run away with it. And I think they're a better team than the Lions. They just weren't prepared.
Yeah.
The Lions called a great game. They got it done, and they basically kicked our ass. So we're going to have to see what happens the next 4 weeks, see if we can get the division locked up and see if the Vikings can get ready for a playoff run. I'm not happy with the defense, and I would not be opposed to having a defensive coordinator change right now.
Okay. All right, Chris, what about you?
I mean, yeah, today sucked. We saw today sucked. I mean, there's not really much more you can say about it. They got out schemed. They got outplayed. We got a bit of a short week coming up because the next game is going to be on Saturday, not Sunday. So they got to put it behind them. And, we're coming back home against a team that they should absolutely curb stomp. Whether they actually do that or not is going to be a completely other factor as we've seen all season. But next week we should be celebrating a division championship. Whether we are or not is another matter.
It's always better to win the division at home, is what I say.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Good man, Ted Glover.
Like Chris said, the Vikings game is next Saturday. There's 3 games next week. Next Saturday, all on NFL Network. The Vikings are the early game. We will be on right after that game, like we always are.
Yep.
And hopefully we will be celebrating an NFC North Division championship. Until then, like Drew said, the Vikings got a lot they got to clean up on defense. Got to get more aggressive on both sides of the ball. Can't let a 200-yard receiving game and a 400-yard passing game by Kirk Cousins go to waste again.
Well, Ted,
yeah.
The Lions had like 32 yards rushing today. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. But the Vikings had less.
But that's 100 less yards than they gave up the first game, and they still lost.
Yep,
the Lions actually ran for 134 yards today.
Oh, they did?
Of course, 42 of that came on the fake punt. So if you take that away, it was like 90 something. But yeah.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
let's get ready for another. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week after a big win.
Yeah. So hopefully the Vikings get back on track next week, clinch the division, at least nail down a playoff spot. But we'll be here next Saturday to talk about all that. For Chris, for Ruby, for the Drewster, I'm Ted Glover, and we will see you next Saturday. Oh, look for the show. Look for the show. Vikings Report will be on Friday.